Okay, for this tips and tricks, I want to talk about something I almost did, and I'm pretty sure I did it when I first started playing. So each sphere has these record attachments that lets you play an event that is in your discard pile as if it was in your hand, and then you put it back on the bottom of your deck when you're done. But that is an action. You have to discard the map in this case to play that event. And if that event is a response, like a Watchful Piece, which is a response after a location leaves play as an explored location, you can put it back on top of your deck. It's a response, so you cannot take an action before you take a response. So if a location is explored, you can't then take the action to play the event that is a response in your discard pile. The maps only work for events that are actions that can be played during an action window. If the event that you're hoping to recur with the record attachments are responses, that doesn't work. So it's a mistake I almost made, but I ended up remembering that that would not work. So use those records for actions, not responses. All right, let's catch some orc. So orders from Orthanc, side 1A of To Catch an Orc, second scenario in the Voice of Isengard box. We're going to remove the top 20 cards of our deck. We're going to place them to the side, and then we're going to shuffle in Mugash. And then we're going to shuffle in one Mugash guard randomly into other players' decks if there were other players. Since this is a solo game, we are not putting any Mugash guards into play. So this is why it's important to always do the setup correctly. You always want to make sure you follow the correct order when you're setting up a quest. So you actually draw your opening hand, take your mulligan before you would do the quest setup. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to take the next 20 cards, set them aside, and then shuffle in Mugash. Okay, 1B, we're just going to find a mountain location and add it to the staging area. We're going to give the deck a shuffle, and then we are going to advance immediately to stage 2. But let's go through all of setup before we see stage 2. So Mugash, this is the orc we're shuffling into our decks that we're trying to find. He has an engagement 1, so when you find him, he is going to engage you. He's a 4/7/4/8. Can't have attachments. And then after he's defeated, you attach it to a hero, and then you exhaust that hero. He is now your captive, and that hero can no longer ready because all of their attention is focused on Mugash. Those are the guards. We are setting them out of play. Here's the mountain location we're going to start with. It's Mathedras. It's a 2-threat, 3 progress, and while it's the active location, each other location gets +1 threat. But more importantly, when it's explored, you're going to do a search 3, and search 3 is a new keyword. It just basically means whatever that number is after search, you're going to search the top 3 cards of the deck Mugash is shuffled into. You get to take one of your cards into your hand, and if you find an enemy, you add that enemy to the staging area. All right, let's look at our hero lineup. All right, core set Eowyn is back. She's going to quest for 4. You can discard a card to boost her willpower by 1, and she is Spirit. Also, Spirit Glorfindel is back. Also, Spirit, 5 threat. And then if he exhausts the quest, you have to raise your threat by 1. And we're adding a new hero to our progression series I haven't played with before during the series here. 8th threat, 2/1/2/3 Caldara. So discard Caldara to put 1 spirit ally from your discard pile into play for each other hero you control with a printed spirit resource icon. I don't think there's a hero in the game that has done such a 180. She went from being pretty much ignored to being so overpowered she had to have an errata so that you could only do that effect once per game, which you can see my card doesn't include that text. So I am playing a Caldara deck because I kind of wanted to show how good she gets. So here at this point in the game, she's just okay. But later on in this series, maybe a couple cycles from now, I'm going to use her again and just show how crazy powerful she can be. Our starting threat is 22. You can see my resource tracker there with the resources across the top. I have that little token leaning against it to hopefully help me remember to remove time counters. Time is a new keyword. Whenever something has time X, you place that many tokens on it. Those are your time counters. And at the end of the round, you remove one of those counters. If you ever run out of counters, the card that the counters were on will usually have some sort of negative effect you now have to fulfill. Okay, 2A was just flavor text. 2B, searching for Mugash. Time 2, so we get 2 time counters, forced. After the last time counter is removed from this stage, shuffle the discard pile into the encounter deck, and then reveal 2 encounter cards per player, and then place 2 time counters on the stage. Here's the big one. Response. after questing successfully. And remember, successful questing means our willpower was greater than the threat. Ties are not questing successfully. And this happens before you place progress. It's just the determination of the math. Did you have more willpower than threat? Okay, so after you do the math, cancel all progress that would be placed on this stage. Then place one time counter on this stage, or if Mugash is in play, advance to stage 3. So basically, Mugash has to be in play from the deck that he's been shuffled into, and then we're going to quest again, and as long as we quest successfully, we will advance to stage 3. This deck can win very consistently against this quest, but it can lose in the early stages of the game. Stay tuned at the end of the video for some losses. Alright, stand and fight, perfect. Going to be lots of cards in my discard pile between Eowyn and the deck that Mugash is shuffled into. Oh, Shadow of the Past. Okay, great. So this is going to help me keep locations that have the search keyword coming back into play. And another one, okay? Aether Swordsman, there's some easy willpower. Going to need lots of willpower for this quest. Light of Valinor, so that's going to go on Glorfindel. Now he doesn't need to exhaust the quest. Very happy to see that. And Threat Reduction. This is a very good opening hand. So the card I was looking for was anything that would let me put a location back on top of my deck. So I'm glad to see those Shadows of the Past. That's going to be extremely helpful. All right, so now we're going to take the next 20 cards and we're going to make a side deck with those. We're going to put Mugash in there and we're going to give this thing a shuffle. And that's the deck we need to work through with that search keyword to try to find Mugash. And then once we find him, he enters play in the staging area. One of the things that can be very frustrating with this quest is not getting any locations to enter play in a solo game for you to search. So I have 3 copies of Shadows of the Past and 3 copies of A Watchful Peace that are going to hopefully keep locations coming into play so I can keep searching the deck with Mugash in it. All right, so you saw I drew an Envoy of Peligir, and I'm going to spend all 3 spirit resources putting in the Light of Valinor and the Aether Swordsman. He does boost himself, so he quests for 2. Eowyn quests for 4. Glorfindel quests for 3. I will leave Caldara up in case I get a low threat enemy I need to engage. There is one with a 20, but I get a enemy that has a 33 engagement and 3 threat. So I'm up against 5. I have quested successfully, so that means I place a time counter underneath the quest. And I'm going to travel to that location. At the end of the round, you remove a time counter, and let's go into the next round. So, easy first turn. That's how most first turns go with this deck. Oh, Stargazer. Okay, I'm very glad to see her. I'm going to spend 2 resources to put the Envoy of Peligir in. She gives a resource back to a noble character. And then I'm going to spend 2 resources to put the Stargazer in. So, very glad to see the Stargazer. I'm going to do the Stargazer Sigil Minor combo to generate resources. Of course, I have to find a Ziggy first, but very glad to have the Stargazer in. There is a treachery that will damage exhausted characters, so I am being very careful with any characters with 1 hit point, which is all my allies. So I'm just going to send the 3 heroes on the quest. So I'm sending 9 against 3, and I really want to clear this 3 progress location. That should be enough, and we get, oh, I hate this guy, the Orc Hunter. 2 threat, and then he makes you choose either reveal an additional card or discard a time counter. Well, I do not want to reveal an additional card because this quest can surge train like crazy. You can get a surge, which surges into a surge, which surges, you get it. It's just not something you want to happen. So I am going to just remove that time counter. But the good news is I made enough progress to clear the location, and since I quested successfully, more willpower than threat, I get to place a time counter back on. So I still have 2 time counters on, and now we get to do a search 3. So search 3, we take the top 3 cards, if I can grab them. There we go, slippery. Nope, 4, there we go, got it. And okay, so no Mugash, which is good. I do not need him coming out right away. I'm going to keep stand and fight because that'll let me pull allies back out of the discard pile. So I discarded 2 allies and pulled stand and fight into my hand. Okay, so looking at my next 5 cards with Stargazer, I'm really glad to see a Watchful Peace, but everything else is a 2-cost ally, but I don't have a Ziggy, so I can't go through them quickly. I don't have card draw, so I'm just going to be top decking for a while. That's not ideal. But I am glad to see that Watchful Piece, so we'll talk about that in a second. So we'll go into the next round, and then of course I draw the Watchful Piece. That is a 1-cost spirit event. After a location leaves play from being explored, you can put it back on top of your deck. So I'm going to play Shadows of the Past for 2 resources and put the location that was on top of the discard pile on top of my deck. Shadow of the Past just moves the top card of your discard pile to the top of the deck. So I am going to be revealing a location this round, so I know exactly what I'm questing against. I don't need to worry about 1 hit point characters being damaged. So I did quest successfully. I placed the time counter. I travel to the location, and I'm going to engage this Orc Hunter. I have enough characters ready. Caldara is a pretty good defender. Attacking enemy gets +1 for each location in the staging area. So that is a nothing. No shadow effect there. She takes 1 damage. And then the Envoy of Peligir and Glorfindel have enough to kill that guy. So we got some threat out of staging. Stargazer is going to look at 1 more card, and it's, ooh, Test of Will. Okay, yes, I want that Test of Will. So still top decking. I'm going to put Test of Will on top of the deck, and then leave the other cards arranged like you see here. And we'll just go into the next round. All right, so you saw I drew a Test of Will, which we knew I was going to do. I'm going to play Stand and Fight and pull this West Road Traveler out of my discard pile, so I have 2 more willpower. I am going to send these 1 hit point allies on the quest because I have the Test of Will. And so let's just make sure we clear this active location. And we get, okay, that same Orc Skirmisher dude. So 3 more threat. I'll probably never engage those guys unless something goes terribly wrong. But I do clear the active location, so I am going to play a Watchful Piece. So I'll spend a spirit resource and put that back on top of my deck. And now we search 3. Okay, so Overhill Underhill Gandalf. I'm going to put that in my hand. I would have liked to have put that Stand and Fight, but Overhill Underhill Gandalf does not have a sphere, and Stand and Fight only lets you pull back allies with a sphere. So I want to make sure I get Overhill Underhill Gandalf in my hand. Stargazer is going to take a peek. 1 more card that I haven't seen, and it's a Northern Tracker. So I'm going to draw him, and this is now my hand. So this is the next round. And I'm playing fast because nothing is really happening. I just am drawing a card I know I'm drawing, and I'm just trying to send willpower on a quest and slowly search through this deck. You don't want Mugash to come out too soon. Okay, so since I knew I was questing against that location, I sent enough so I knew I quested successfully. I placed the time counter, and now Stargazer's just going to look at my next 5 cards. So same thing that has happened the last 3 rounds. Nothing really big going on. Like I said, if I had Ziggy, then I could have been really digging through my deck and generating some money and really building a board state quicker. So I'm sending characters on the quest, but I did forget to remove a time counter at the end of the round, but I'll fix that in a moment. We reveal a 3-threat enemy. So I did quest successfully, and then there I said, okay, there should have only been 1 time counter. Now there's 2 again. We did clear that active location, so I get to look at the top 3 cards. Come on, Ziggy. Nope, no Ziggy. Okay, a 4-cost ally, 2-cost ally, and then another Shadows of the Past. Well, I'm going to keep the Shadows of the Past, and that was really good timing because now my top card is that location. So let's engage the Warg, and then we're going to deal the Shadow card, and then in the action window, after you deal out Shadow cards, I am going to play that Shadow of the Past and put that location back on top of my deck. So that actually worked out really, really well. So I know I'm revealing that location again next round. It's the only location I've revealed this entire game that would have found me cards from my deck. The Shadow card was nothing, and that Shadow card is actually a treachery that helps you find mountain locations. And then before I end the round, I want Stargazer to take a look. So I started to end the round, and I realized I want Stargazer to take a look. There we go. All right, Ancient Matham. That's going to help me draw some of these cards and dig deeper into my deck. So now I'm actually organizing these in the order I want to draw them. And in my excitement of finding a bag of Ancient Matham, I forget to remove the time counter. So obviously that little token isn't working. There's a lot to keep track of in these quests. You're adding time counters, you're removing time counters. You got 2 decks you're working through. I'm also working through my discard pile. So it's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of. So my hand is huge. I'm looking to see if there's any allies I want to use Stand and Fight for. Not really. I want my big, expensive spirit allies to get pulled in by Caldara, but I do have plenty of resources, so let's pay for this northern trekker. When he commits to the quest, he places 1 progress on any location that's in the staging area. So that's very useful if I was revealing locations and had them building up, but I'm definitely not having that problem right now. Okay, so I committed to the quest, I revealed that location, I knew I quested successfully, I did the time counter screw up thing again, where I'm still at 2 time counters, and we're just going into the next round. There's really not a lot that happens. If your threat is low and you're not clearing locations each round, you're not doing much. Alrighty, let's put another Ether Swordsman in, so they're each questing for 3. Let's play an Elrond's Council and drop my threat by 3. Let's quest against an unknown amount, and I want to make sure I clear this. And we get... Whoa! Got it. Oh, God, this guy. Okay. Either reveal an additional card. I don't want a bunch of cards coming out. I really don't. So I'm going to play a Test of Will again and cancel that guy. So I just added 2 threat, so I quested successfully. So that means I get to place a time counter, and that means I get to clear that location, which means I get to search 3, and because of Ancient Matham, I get to draw 3 cards. So a lot happening right now. Okay, Fortune or Fate would let me pull Caldara back out of the discard pile. But I don't think I'm going to need to. I have enough allies in play already that I'm not going to miss her when she's gone. She's just going to do her thing, and then I'll be sitting pretty good. So I kept that Elrond's Council. Now I'm going to do the Ancient Matham. And we knew we were drawing these 3 cards, so I got all of those allies into my hand. Stargazer now can really dig deep. I get to see a whole bunch of cards I haven't seen. There's Ziggy. Man, he was way down there. There's a lot of cards I'm glad to see. Watchful Peace is going to help me because I already have a Shadows of the Past in hand, so I'm going to be able to put that location on top and then Watchful Peace it again. Dwarven Tomb, that's going to be good to replay a spirit card from my discard pile, which there are a ton of. The only thing I don't have is now good targets for Ziggy. Like I said earlier, having all those 2-cost allies lined up would have been perfect for him. Now nothing costs the same, but I am still going to try to use him next round. Okay, so where were we? So now travel phase, nothing. Engagement phase, let's engage that Orc Hunter. Let's grab a shadow card, and I'm going to defend it. If it destroys a character, remove a time counter, no problem. And I'm playing Shadow of the Past right now to move that location back. I wanted to show you the 2 different action windows you could have done this. So the first time I played Shadow of the Past right after the shadow card was dealt, and this time I played Shadow of the Past after I flipped over the shadow card. The important thing is to play it before you kill the enemy, which I had plenty of characters to do. So now we're going to advance to the next round. I draw Ziggy. Let's play Ziggy, and then I'm going to say 2. And we're going to discard the top 2 cards. One of them do cost 2, so I get 1 resource somewhere. Let's put that on Eowyn. And then I'm saving up for Overhill, Underhill, Gandalf, so I'm not going to play anything else. And I know what I'm questing against, so I send enough characters to quest successfully. We're going to travel to that location and then not do anything else except for let Stargazer take a peek. So Stargazer's going to take a look. There's the next cards that are coming. I arrange them like that, and let's go into the next turn. So man, if I didn't have cards that let me bring locations back into play, like Shadows of the Past and a Watchful Peace, this would be a very long game. I'd still be waiting and waiting for more locations to come. All right, so I say 1, and I'm going to get 2 resources, and we're going to put Overhill, Underhill, Gandalf into play. So he does not exhaust the quest, but at the end of the round, I have to raise my threat by 2 to keep him in play. And I'm basically just hedging my bets that this round, Mugash is going to come out, and if he doesn't, I'm going to reveal a location. Just one of those 2 things has to happen. Just the law of averages says so. So it's time to get my board state ready to handle Mugash if he comes into play. So I'm just placing a bet here. I don't have many cards left in my orc deck. So now I'm going to send characters on the quest, and I'm going to try to leave as many characters ready as I think I can. I don't know what I'm going to be revealing, so it's a guessing game. I want to clear that location. I'm also concerned about threat building up in the staging area. It's going to get hard to overquest it in the last stage. Or Connor. Okay, well, I have a test of will in hand, so we are canceling that additional card. I don't need the Surge Train. I'm glad I've avoided it so far. So we quested successfully. We do clear that location. So once again, I get to search 3. So let's see what we get. And, oh, there he is. Okay, Mugash, top card. I will add Emery to my hand. She's a great ally for a mono spirit deck. And then let's make sure we're playing this right. So I don't get to advance to stage 3 because you trigger that response after you determined you quested successfully, which is before you placed progress. So Mugash came into play after I'd already determined that I quested successfully. So now I'm going to use Stargazer, look at my top cards, make sure the top 3 cards are cards I want to discard, and then I'm going to put Emery into play because she says you can use an action, discard the top 3 cards of your deck, and then Emery gets to stay in play as long as none of them are tactics, lore, or leadership. She's really good in a mono spirit deck, really, really good. I mean, she defends for 2 and has 2 hit points, so that's a nice strong ally to basically get in for free. So those are the 3 cards that I'm discarding, and now let's use Caldara. So like I said earlier in the video, the options are not great as far as spirit allies go this early in the game, but later on, she gets nuts. So we're going to put Elfhelm in. He attacks for 2, and he can keep your threat from going up. And then let's also put in another copy of the Northern Tracker, another 2 attack. So what did we gain? Well, she was exhausted, and now we have 2 ready allies that each attack for 2. And then next round, I can commit them to the quest for 2 willpower each, which is what she quested for. So I'm basically losing a resource a round, which isn't a big deal because at this point in the game, my board is already set. So Mugash, of course, engaged me. He has an engagement of 1. I'm keeping my threat below all the other orcs, so I'm not getting enemy swarmed. And this really sucks. So if it destroys a character, remove a time counter. Well, of course it does. He attacked for 7. So that means I had to remove one of my 2 time counters, which means at the end of the round, I'm going to be removing the final time counter. So that stinks. But the good news is I have enough attack to kill Mugash. Well, I should say I capture Mugash. So now I'm going to attach him to one of my heroes, and then that hero no longer can do anything. They're too busy guarding Mugash. So I think I'm going to put it, I'll put it on Glorfindel because Eowyn can basically quest for 5. And now I'm going to take a moment and make my board state look a lot better. It's getting too messy. Okay, end of the round. A lot is happening. Everybody's ready except Glorfindel. I got to raise my threat an additional 2 because of Gandalf. And now the last time counter gets removed. So that means I shuffle the discard pile back into the encounter deck, and then I'm going to reveal 2 cards. So that really sucks because I really want to quest hard, and adding 2 more cards to the staging area could really hurt that. Plus, I'm worried about the Surge Train that I keep talking about. I decided to choose Caldara for this quest because I knew I was going to want a Watchful Peace, and so a mono spirit deck just seemed to make sense, and it seemed like a good time to showcase Caldara, and obviously a Watchful Peace has definitely pulled its weight. And then I get a location. So a 4 threat location, and oh, here we go. Okay. Take cover, Surge. I hate this card. So I either have to remove a time counter or all exhausted characters take a damage. Well, luckily only 1 character is exhausted. That surges into another location. So there's my locations that I've been waiting for all game that I now no longer need. They're adding lots of threat to staging, but I have 2 Northern Trackers in play. So it's not the end of the world. I should be okay. And I'm going to draw my single copy of Ever My Heart Rises. You attach it to a dwarf character, and then if you travel to a mountain or underground location, you get to ready that dwarf and reduce your threat by 1. It's just a 1 of because I also have to have a Ziggy in play, but I had an empty slot in my deck build, so I decided to put that in. Okay, I'm going to use Dwarven Tomb to pull back a copy of a Test of Will, so I will have that in hand as we go into what I hope to be the final couple rounds of the game. So all I got to do is quest successfully, and I will be able to advance to stage 3. So I've added the 2 time counters. When that Surging Treachery was revealed, I had no option. I couldn't remove a time counter because they had not come into play yet, because I had to reveal the cards and then add 2 time counters. So you always have to pick the option that changes the game state. So I had to take the damage, which of course was not a huge deal. It was just Glorfindel. All right, so I'm sending a lot of characters on the quest. The northern trackers place 2 progress on the layer there, and that clears it. And then they're going to place 2 progress on the other location. So that just needs 1 more. So I cleared out that 4 threat location. That was nice. And that is how the willpower to threat stacks up. We reveal a 3 threat enemy. So I did quest successfully. So that means we immediately are going to advance to stage 3. So let's take a look at what stage 3 brings. 3A, some nice flavor text. The Wizard's Prize, time 3, forced. After the last time counter is removed from this stage, return Mugash to the staging area and then reveal X encounter cards, where X is the number of players -1. Yuck. Progress cannot be placed on this stage unless Mugash is attached to a hero, and if we complete the stage, we win. It is 15 quest points. Okay, time 3 added. All right, let's look. So I need to engage this warg. I'm not going to travel because the northern trackers can just clear it. So let's just deal a shadow card to this warg, and let's see who we want to call a defender. Emery. She's a good defender. She's a 2/2. So Emery will be the defender. The shadow is nothing, another location. So can you imagine if this is how the beginning had went, where I was constantly getting locations that I could have been bouncing around, and I could have basically been traveling to a location each round? That would have been nice, but whatever. It still worked out. Okay, so I removed a time counter, and we're going to advance to the next round. I'm raising my threat by 3 each time, and we draw another Ziggy. Okay, I'm just going to try to put willpower on the table and try to win. That's my goal. So Arwen is going to come into play. She's going to be questing for 2 more. I got all the pretty ladies over there on the right. And I'm going to play Elrond's Council. So that's 1 more willpower, and I'm going to drop my threat back down, which will keep me from needing to engage everything. So when it's all said and done, I have sent everybody on the quest. Gandalf is still ready because he doesn't exhaust a quest. And I have sent a grand total of 25. Northern trackers clear that. I'm supposed to search 3, but I'm just hoping I can win, and the searching isn't going to matter because I know I have no enemies in my orc deck. So let's reveal a card, and it's a 3-threat enemy. So if once I do the math, I am sending 14 more willpower than threat, and I need to make 15. Well, Core Set Eowyn's ability comes into play, discarding 1 card, giving me 15 progress. That's a victory. We have captured Mugash, and we have completed this quest. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, let's watch how you can lose with this deck. Okay, for this one, not a very strong start. No Light of Valinor, but I did get Aether Swordsman and Stargazer in. This is turn 2. I already have an Orc from the first round in, and I get this Treachery, which says deal each Orc enemy in play a shadow card. They get -15 engagement cost. And then if there was no orcs in the staging area when you did this, the card gains Surge. So that stinks because now I'm going to have to engage this orc, and I really don't want to. I clear the location. Okay, so we recognize this location. I'm going to be doing a search 3, and Mugash was right on top, which means he is also going to be engaging me, which, I mean, I'm dead, right? Because I'm going to have these 2 orcs attacking me. Yeah, I can use Caldara's ability to bring in 2 allies, but they're both going to die, and then I'm still engaged with these orcs, so that's an end of the game. I'm done. This next one was going really well. I was a few rounds in. I had found Mugash, damaged him the round before, already triggered Caldara to get 2 big allies in. The problem is I had lost 1 time counter to a treachery, and then I underquested this round so that I could kill Mugash. So I am defending with the Stargazer, and I have just enough attack with my remaining characters. And we get the Orc Hunter. Makes an additional attack. Oh, I was so mad because that's going to kill Stargazer, and then now he's going to kill somebody else, probably the Aether Swordsman, and then he's going to kill somebody else the next round, which means my willpower is pretty much shot. I'm going to have to reveal 2 cards, which I was hoping to be able to quest over, and yeah, so not instantly dead, but I knew the writing was on the wall that I was going to die. So yes, this deck can lose against the quest. You need to get a little bit lucky on when Mugash comes out, and you definitely need to keep the board state under control. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.